Hello, how are you? It's Chris. I am so excited to have you for our Lunch and Learn, where I am talking about the tangible retail experience. The reason why I got excited to do this is that I sent out a newsletter on Monday and I shared a link to an article that I was quoted in, and I was so excited. And the article was written by a colleague of mine who, like myself, is really interested in supporting independent businesses. And the point of the article was really, how can we help independent businesses remain competitive in this increasingly crowded retail marketplace? Whether you run a brick and mortar or an online only business, whether you're small or you're large, there's a lot of competition. So that's why I got inspired. So if you are not on the newsletter, I recommend that you go on to merchantmethod.com and sign up there. The article is a quick 3-minute read, and it was featured in Outdoor Retail magazine called The Tangible Experience. And so I thought that I would talk about the things that I spoke about with my colleague, about the things that I'm really passionate about in a 30-minute lunch and learn. So hopefully you've got your lunch and you've got something to write with. I have my notes here, so that's what I'm looking at. And I'm also going to send out through my newsletter the presentation that I created for this. I kind of couldn't help myself. It ended up being a little bit of a webinar because I'm super passionate about sharing my knowledge. So it feels a little bit more formal than it really needs to be. Hi, Jeanette. I was actually sending you a voicemail because I was just on the phone with someone from Oahu, and I'd love to chat with you more about it. So if you are here, and you know me, I'm Chris Gio, and what we'll talk about is customer care, like customer service and the basics. We'll talk about what the tangible retail experience is. You'll often hear me use the phrase retail romance. I find retail really romantic, and awesome retail environments and retail experiences very sexy. How to simplify your work, because it doesn't have to be hard. There's a lot that we can do if we focus on the basics to make the day-to-day so much easier. And then I want to refresh your perspective on how you engage your customers too. So if you are new to Merchant Method, I love to teach product-based business owners like yourself how to get to the next level of profit where you are now with a lot more ease. And so if you are 1 year in business or 20, if you are online only or brick and mortar only, if you have a large team of 50 or you are owner operator, there's always the next level that we can achieve, and it doesn't have to be hard. And what I'm passionate about is sharing my best know-how and processes with you so that you can be in charge of what your success looks like and actually create the plan for your success and then move forward in executing it with more confidence. Really, because confidence can make so many things possible. I feel like the worst thing is when we are lost and we don't know what we're doing and we're unsure of ourselves. So that's really what I'm passionate about, is giving you the confidence and know-how and helping you write your success plan. So let's get to it. So also, if you're on my newsletter, you know that I've been teasing about season 2 of the Merchant Method podcast, Retail Shift. And I spent my late summer into early fall conducting a lot of interviews. And so I've been asking the same question. And I've asked this question of so many candidates that I've interviewed. And I've asked this question of the students that I teach. So I teach fashion marketing and merchandising at Art Institute. And people are stumped. I mean, they are straight up stumped and have a hard time answering. And this shouldn't be a hard question to answer. It really shouldn't. As business owners, as product-based business owners, as people that engage with our client and have huge love for our clients, we should not be stumped to answer the question, tell me about the best customer service you've ever received. We should have a bajillion of these in our back pocket. And the reason why is having these amazing experiences means that you have something to compare it to because you've had something on the far end of that spectrum, right? So in order to know good, you have to know bad. To have a lot of these means you're able to place them in context, like what makes this amazing in this context versus how in a totally different environment, a different level of service is just right. We're inspired, and as people that are publicly facing, you need a lot of inspiration to just keep gas in the tank. And then we are trained, like experiencing amazing service is a trainable moment for us. And so those 4 things, amassing amazing service stories, make sure that you have been well trained in what amazing service can look and feel and sound like. You've been inspired. You've seen it in context, so it's not just theoretical, and you have something to compare it to. So that's why. And I have a bajillion, but I will just tell you one, and it's about a pair of shoes that I bought. So I have gotten really good at competitive shopping, and not like the sport of shopping, because shopping can make you sweaty and make you thirsty, and it can be really physical. But I mean the art of going in with a hypothesis and then going to visit a lot of businesses and going online to do research to prove or disprove your hypothesis, or checking out a bunch of places and taking it all in and then synthesizing the information into an action step later. So I've been doing it since the late 90s, and I've gotten really good at it. And for me, it's a hobby. So I was shopping Seattle's Ballard neighborhood, and I went into this awesome independent shoe store called Resole. And check them out if you haven't been there. It's amazing. And I picked up a cute pair of booties, like little ankle black boots with a pointed toe and a leather sole and like a little tiny wedge. And I was not in the market for shoes, like not interested, wasn't looking for a new pair. And they weren't particularly my style, but I picked them up and thought they were interesting. Had a great conversation with a sales associate who could have been the manager, I don't know. And, oh, my husband says hi. He just sent me a text message. And I left to have lunch, continued to shop down the avenue, and then I came back. And I went back in the store and I went to look back at the boots, and I was just like compelled to try them on. Am hemming and hawing over it, and the associate says, these look great on you and they seem really comfortable. Why are you hesitant? And she just asked me a question in a really genuine way. And I said I wasn't sure if it would look good with a skirt. And so she asked if I had a little more time and if I could stay a little bit longer, and I did. So I said yes, and then she asked me to just hold on for a second and she'd be right back. And she came back with a skirt for me to try on in my size, and it like matched my top, it matched the boot. And I was like surprised that she did that. And she said, you know what, it's my job. I could totally guess what your size is. I do this all the time. And I know the girls next door. I'm happy to do this. Why don't you go ahead and try on the skirt? And so she made a space for me in the back. I bought the boots, of course. I bought the boots, not because I felt pressured, but because I was like romanticized by the whole experience. I was like, yes, I'll do it. And that is the level of story that I want you to have, and not just one in your pocket, not just one experience, but I want you to have many of those, and you need to go out and find them. Because when you find them and you have them in your back pocket, you are more willing to create that and teach your team how to create that for your customers. That is a tangible shopping experience. So before I dive into the elements around that amazing experience, I just want to start with some basics around customer service, right? So we're taught, it's a maxim, and you know, and I probably was taught the same thing too. We've picked it up over time, that the customer is always right. It's a maxim, it's what customers expect, and whether you agree with it or not, whether I 100% agree with it or not, that actually, in fact, doesn't matter whether or not we agree with it. It's that customers know and feel that they're always right. And it's not by sense of entitlement, because it's certainly not that, but it's just what customers have been trained to expect. Customers always right. And that's like, if you're in the business, that is just the baseline. That's the price of entry to work with customers. And as shopping has become more savvy, customers have been trained to expect something different, right? So Yelp exists to foster the customer's always right. Now customers are thinking, I want what I want when I want it. And actually, I want it now. I want what I want, and I want it now. And there's this underlying question of, am I really getting the best thing? Is there something better? And can I get it faster? And that combination of I'm right and fear of missing out and needing things right away with instant gratification is so much to live up to. It's so much to live up to, whether you are an independent business, whether you're a small chain, you're an owner-operator, or whether you're a large corporation. So we're not unique snowflakes. Everyone is worried about this. It's really, really a huge thing to tackle strategically, and a huge thing to move forward, to put your arms around. But if you actually look at it sideways, it's really much simpler than we think. And so I'm going to pin that whole, like, looking at a problem face on and then looking at it sideways and realizing that it's simpler than we think, to talk about where service is now. So you're probably a lot like me, where there's a lot of competition for your dollar, right? Where there's huge emphasis on being really, really present. There's a huge emphasis on experience. And so what a maker or a retailer of something like perfume or fragrance lotion might think that, you know, the Nordstrom fragrance counter or, you know, Body Shop or Bath and Body Works is their competition, where it was product for product. That is not the case anymore. And I may be thinking, I could buy a beautifully fragranced bottle of a perfume, or I could buy fresh flowers. Well, hold on, can you see my flowers? Which is what I did. I bought fresh flowers yesterday. Or I could go get a manicure, or I could buy a card for a best friend, or I could take a friend out for tea. Like, these are all things that fall into this notion of I'm going to be really present, and I can do that with product or service or experience. And so the competitive landscape has just gotten really, really gigantic. But again, it's looking at the problem this way versus this way. So all of that comes to us as business owners, and that's what customers have been trained to expect. So how do we shape our version of a tangible experience? Customers now, they actually really want to be captivated by experience. And so when you think about the best place that you've ever walked into, or places that you shop or like to shop, whether it's an amazing antique market, or whether it's a big retail chain store like Anthropologie, there's something in there for us. For some reason, not only does it satisfy a product-based need, but it definitely satisfies an emotional need. And customers actually want to be entertained. They want to be captivated by the story, whether it's a story you tell online or through your Instagram. There is a story. And it is more than just, I'm going to sit here on Broadway and watch this awesome musical unfold. Customers want to be at the center of the story. They want to be the heroine or they want to be the hero. That's what brand is, to make the customer the hero. And our job as owners is to write that story, is to create that really compelling experience. And that's why we need to be worried about not having enough experiences that we felt. That's why we need to figure out how to shape, because customers want to be entertained. So here are the 4 common elements. Here's where you start writing with a pen. 4 things that are within your capability and your capacity to do and create this compelling story. So the first is around brand behavior. And the second is around creating ease and comfort. The third is about the unexpected, which is not really surprise and delight, kind of related, but not really. And the fourth is magic. So let's talk through those. So any strategist is going to tell you that brand is not a look, it's not a logo, it's not a color, it's not a mood board. Brand and branding is actually held by your customer or your consumer. They're the ones that are in charge of it, and how they experience you as a business owner, how you experience me, that is the brand. And it's more than what we sell. It's more than how we do it. It really is, who are we doing this for? Brand is on purpose. It's on purpose. And what I love about brand and thinking about it being purposeful and thinking about behavior is that regardless of what size business you have, it's within your control. You can be in charge of it. So let's say, for example, the mounting competing priorities that we have, they're real, they're not a joke. Asking yourself, what would my customer want me to do right now in the face of posting on Instagram or answering the 3 emails that are already in my inbox? My customer would want me to answer the 3 emails that are already in my inbox. In the face of, would my customer want me to go ahead and open these boxes in my store in the middle of the day, or come in a little earlier, open the boxes a little earlier, and have the store free and easy to shop in the middle of the day? Honestly, my customer would probably want me to not have boxes open in the middle of the day, blocking aisles and blocking traffic. It's the choices around what puts our customer at the forefront. That is brand behavior. That is actually brand. So that's number 1. Number 2 is ease and comfort. So I remember shopping. So on the opposite end of the spectrum of amazing experiences, here's a scarring one. And I'm sure you have a scarring one too. I was shopping once, and I remember it was the holidays, and I remember this because there were like 6 or 7 colors of sweaters. And holidays is all about color multipliers and color choice. And I was about to pick up a sweater, and the sales associate like snapped at me, and she said, "Don't touch that, I just folded it." What? Okay, hold on. I was actually going to buy it because I wanted to try it on. I really liked it. Well, of course, I definitely wasn't going to be doing that. And I remember feeling really uncomfortable in that environment because I felt like I couldn't touch anything. I've been in places where I wasn't even sure like what the path was to walk, the path of circulation. I didn't know where to start. And I just want to share this notion of ease and comfort because there's a big difference between an inviting retail environment where you're encouraging people to pick up the products and interact with them and touch them, versus look at them from a distance. And so the worst case would be if someone's walking around with their hands behind their back when you really want them to be interacting with the product, or they pop in and they leave. It means that they were not comfortable in your environment, or they didn't find anything that was compelling enough. It's the equivalent of someone popping into your homepage and leaving, or putting things in the cart and abandoning them. And so we need to make sure that we're creating an environment that says, hey, touch me. hey, come in and pick me up, hey, come and shop me, in a way that we would host a guest in our home. Number 3 is the unexpected. And the thing to know is that what people say they're going to do is really different than what we actually do, right? So there's a difference between intention and action. And I've happened to be fortunate enough to be in many focus groups, customer focus groups. I've listened in on customer calls when they're placing orders through a catalog. I've been in the back of a room as focus groups have been facilitated and not identified third-party observer. I've conducted fit sessions with clients like over and over and over again, and I've even observed settings on the viewing end of a one-way mirror. And what I've come to learn is this. This is my nugget for you, is that customers don't want to see things. They don't want to see displays. They don't want to see things on mannequins, in the windows, things highlighted on social media. Your paying customer doesn't want to see things that they would pick for themselves, right? So when I walk into a store, I don't necessarily want to see my closet, my outfits on a mannequin. I don't want to see the things that I would pick for myself or that I already own in the window. I want to see things that are just a little bit different, that push me just a touch. I also have come to learn that that can be taken too far and be too extreme to be alienating and uncomfortable, right? So we don't want to get to a place of displaying or picking product or showcasing items that give customers a complex. We don't want to be aspirational. Aspirational means like, this is the iconic ideal, but your version is something like this, right? We don't want to be too exaggerated because that's not what customers gravitate towards. And so it's really this fine line between pushing them just a touch out of their day-to-day. So what you don't want to hear is, oh my God, I love it, but I'm not a cook. Oh my God, that's so amazing, but that would never look good on me. Oh my gosh, I love those shoes, but I don't wear high heels. You don't want to hear that. You want to hear, oh my gosh, I've always wanted to try this. Oh my gosh, yes, I've been seeing this around. I've been curious about this. Oh, I'd love to do this. Can you teach me? Or what version of this would be right for me? So there's a subtlety in presenting and assorting the unexpected. And so I just want you to think through that as you think through your merchandising, as you think through your language, as you think through your photography. We get so caught up in the aspirational, but my question for you is, does the aspirational convert to sales? I leave you with that question. The last thing is magic. There is actual magic in things that are amazing. So I was watching this movie called Now You See Me, and it's about a bunch of magicians. And why I love that movie is it reminds me that magic is disciplined. It's studied. It's practiced over and over again. It's done with intention. It's illusion. It's storytelling. And I challenge you, I'll continue to challenge myself, is what are we making commitments to becoming really great at, becoming really good at mastering? What are we doing over and over and over again so that we can continue to entertain, to delight, to romance our customers in a way that feels easy to them, in a way that is not showing any of our back of house, in a way that's not breaking the illusion? That takes a lot of work. So whether you want to master your finances, whether you want to master hiring, whether you want to master buying, there's a magic in it, and your experience is different than the customer's experience, and you don't want to mix them. So thinking through what the appropriate language is, when the reveal happens, what you never want your customers to see, keeps the illusion and the romantic experience alive. So those are 4 things that contribute to the tangible retail experience. And those are the 4 things that you have control over. Like, you can turn off this video and go to work and make meaningful changes and meaningful enhancements to the experience your customers have this afternoon. So in thinking through those stories that I told earlier, and thinking through the before and after you make some changes, what you're doing is giving your customers something to compare, right? So it's your warmth compared to someone that had an off day and that was really, really icy to the customer. It's your genuine connection versus someone who's super distracted, typing on their computer, working on their newsletter, and not really paying any attention to what's happening on the floor. It gives them something to compare it to, and then it zings them with, wow, that was amazing. Context is what you're creating, is what you're providing, is the choice that you're making, is the action that you're taking. Does any of that make sense to your customer? Have you set up a relationship so that your customer knows how to engage with your product, how to understand your price? Have you given the value and everything else so that the price makes sense? Have you trained your team to engage with the customer so the customer knows how to really feel at ease with them? The third piece is inspiration. It's definitely a little bit different, a little bit outside of your customer's comfort zone, but not aspirational. We don't want it to be mythical, and we don't want them to feel bad about themselves. We don't want them to feel like it's unattainable. Like, I don't dream of driving a Lamborghini. I don't go into an automobile place looking for one. I don't go to an automobile place. But there are some things that are just like out of my comfort zone or out of my want zone, and so I don't interact with them. So I don't want this notion of not being mythical and not being aspirational to worry you about cutting off customers or narrowing in so much that you turn your back on customers. It really is about the right romantic language to the customers that are right for you. And the fourth piece is training, because everything that you do trains your customer. It trains their behavior. It trains them into understanding what to expect from their interaction with you. So those are the four things. And knowing these elements and knowing how you can influence them will in fact make your day-to-day easier. So from a brand behavior perspective, just ask yourself every time, I have to do it myself, is what is my point? Who am I doing this for? And that really helps me decide with my last 40 minutes of my day, am I doing this thing or am I doing that thing? If I'm investing $2,000, am I investing it here or am I investing it here? What would my customer want me to do? That's brand. The behavior, the choice, the day-to-day is an accumulation of their brand experience with you. Number two is ease and comfort. I often ask myself, how are people interacting with us? You should ask yourself, is it shoppable? Does it make sense? You always want it to make sense. You always want people to feel like they're in a home away from home. The third piece is this notion of the unexpected. You want to continue to compel them, continue to romance them, showcase and give them a different experience than they would normally write for themselves or pick from themselves, but you don't want it so far out of reach that they treat the experience much like a walk through a museum or a walk through a showroom. And then magic, this illusion, I keep doing this to this, the illusion that you create, the storytelling that you create with your behind the curtain consistency and commitment and mastery and practice of the things that you need to be focused on, the things that you need to get really, really good at to continue to deliver on this amazing experience. So those are my tips for you. So I have homework for you because that's how I roll. I want you to clear your mind. I want you to refresh your perspective and take a step back. And what I want you to do is do some competitive shopping. And you don't necessarily have to spend any money to do that, but I want you to step out of your day-to-day. I want you to go to different stores, different cafes, different restaurants. I want you to go to different websites and just experience them like a customer. Refresh your perspective. Let people romance you. so that you can gain more of those amazing customer service stories in your toolkit, because that will fuel the passion and fuel the fire for you to continue to create those amazing experiences for your own customers. So that's what I want to share with you, you guys. Thank you so much. If you have questions, I've been seeing people hop in. I haven't seen any questions yet, but what I'm going to do is share the notes and share the deck I put together. And if you want to have more of a conversation about this at another time, I would love to hop on Facebook with you or Skype, and we can talk about the tangible romantic retail experience. Thank you. Bye.